The crypto market has been in a deep correction phase, but the big question is, how low can we still go? With BTC and ETH both around key support levels. Hello everyone, Richard here and welcome to a new weekly overview here on Alt Crypto Talk. Today I'll be going over 10 top altcoins to buy in September. So let's get started, and of course don't forget to smash that like button if you like such content. Starting with Pendle, we have been overall bullish, and as per my last weekly overview, we have been around this area. We're expecting this big correction phase, especially after breaking below this major low. Anyway, from a long-term perspective, we are still overall bullish, making higher lows and high highs, trading within this rising broadening wedge, as you can see in blue. And you can get an idea about this overall phase from the previous price action. As I always say, if you want to win a war, make sure to study previous wars. For example, for Pendle, we have been bearish here within this channel, then shifted the momentum to bullish, bearish again, and we are currently bullish, trading within this rising wedge. Interestingly, we are retesting the lower band of the wedge, which lines up perfectly with a massive support and resistance zone between 4 and 4.5. Thus, as long as this area holds, we'll be looking for trend following longs targeting the next resistance around 7, which also lines up perfectly with the upper bound of the wedge. Of course, we need confirmation to be going long. If you zoom into H4 timeframe for the bulls to take over, a break above this last major high is needed, which would be around 5 round number. If you break above it, expect this next bullish leg towards the 7 round number. Meanwhile, we can still push lower, making lower lows and lower highs towards the 4 round number. Next, Pol. A massive one, OG, one of my favorite. Weekly time frame rejected the 0.2 round number, accumulation phase in the making, and a markup phase might be on the horizon. If you break above this area, which we are currently breaking, we need a daily candle close, a full one above the 0.28. In this case, if this happens, we'll be confirming the start of the markup phase. In this case, as mentioned previously in the previous market outlook, we will expect a movement towards the 0.5 round number, a massive resistance zone as well. Support, resistance here, and also a round number. Meanwhile, we can still push lower as a correction phase towards this structure, which we recently broke over the weekend. If you retest it, we'll be looking for this short-term long. Next, we've got GFAL, games for a living. Overall bullish. Zoom a little bit out, you can see it clearly how we shifted the momentum from bearish to bullish, especially after breaking above the 0.005 round number. As you clearly see previously, it has been acting as support, broken downward, resistance, broken upward again, support again. Thus, as we retest this area, which lines up with the structure, demand zone, and this area of support, we'll be looking for trend following longs targeting the 0.01 massive round number and also a big resistance zone. If you break above the 0.01, we'll be expecting a big impulsive movement upward from a long-term perspective. Next, we've got TIA, also around this all-time lows, 1.5 round numbers, accumulation phase just like Pol, big zone. You can get a feeling about that the bears are exhausted and the bulls might be taking over soon, because you can clearly see the impulse movements are getting smaller in size. You can see how this one is very small when compared to the previous ones. But for the bulls to take over and confirm the start of this big bullish trend, a break above this last major high at 2.32 is needed. If you break above it, expect this movement. Meanwhile, interestingly, and since we are retesting the lower bound and the support at 1.5 round number, we'll be looking for short-term longs targeting the upper bound of this big range, which would be around 2.2. But for the bullish takeover, a break above this falling wedge pattern in blue is needed. Meanwhile, you can still push lower before pushing higher. Next, we've got NEO, or what's called Chinese Ethereum. Overall bullish, especially after rejecting the 5 round number. I've mentioned this one when we were exactly here. If you remember, previously a couple of months ago, when I went over top 10 altcoins rejecting the 5 round number. Neo was one of them, and we were here right there. We're expecting a bullish movement towards the 8 or even 9. Anyway, we rejected the zone, retested the lower bound, and pushed higher again. We are currently, if you zoom a little bit in a big correction phase. Demand zone, explosive movement from here, lower band of the channel, that's what I call a trio retest, retesting the structure, the trend line, and the demand zone. As long as this area holds, I'll be looking for this next leg towards the 9 round number as a target. But of course, for the bullish takeover, a break above this falling channel is needed. Meanwhile, we will be bearish. We might still make low lows and low highs. In this case, as we approach this lower bound, demand intersection with the trend line in red and blue, we'll be looking for new short-term longs. Next, we've got Tau. Very strong support area right there, around 300, 310 round numbers. You can see how clear the structure is. Support previously, turned resistance, support again, and currently acting as support. Falling channel after breaking back below the resistance right there around 400. So long story short, from a pure price action chart, even if you remove everything just like this, you can clearly see that we've got this range between this and this, 300 and 400 round numbers. As we approach this area, or starting from here, we can look for short-term longs, but for the bullish takeover and push towards the upper bound, the resistance zone, a break above this falling channel is needed. H4 time frame, you can see it clearly, overall bearish. H1, if you break above this channel, expect a movement towards the 350, and then if you break above the 350, expect a movement towards the 400. Next, we've got Arbitrum, ARB. Very strong support as well. You can see how many altcoins look almost the same. Overall bullish, impulse, correction, impulse, and we are currently in a correction phase, lining up around a support zone, 0.5 round number, also the lower bound of this channel. Thus, as long as this area between 0.45 and 0.5 holds, we'll be looking for longs targeting the next big impulse movement towards the 0.7, which lines up perfectly with the upper bound of this rising channel in orange. Anyway, let's take it step by step, right? As long as we are here, look for longs. H4 time frame, we want confirmation, right? So no matter how cheap an altcoin is, no matter if it's around its all-time low, always wait for an extra confirmation for the buyers to prove to you that they are strong enough to take over. In this example, on ARB, we want a break above the 0.52 to confirm the next bullish movement to start. Next, we've got NMR. A big movement, one of the biggest movers last week, 213%. We've got this big crazy movement, but of course nothing moves straight up, right? As you all know it, we are currently in this correction phase after this crazy 200% movement. H4 time frame, we can see it clearly, a big correction. This is a massive demand zone in case we retest it, and 10 round number, but let's take it step by step. We broke below the low, we are now bearish, after breaking above the high, bullish, now bearish. Thus, for the bullish takeover again, a break above the previous highs is needed, which brings us to this area. 15.8. Once we break above it, expect the next impulse movement to start. It will be like this, impulse, correction, and we want to catch the next impulse targeting the 25 round number. Meanwhile, we are still in a correction phase. The bears are still in control. We can still push lower like this. In this case, we'll be updating our previous high and wait for a break above it for the bullish to take over. Next, Skale or SKL. Also, one of the big movers last week or last month. We've got this big 172% and currently in a big correction phase. If you approach this area around the 0.02, which will also line up with the lower band of this falling wedge, we'll be looking for longs targeting the upper band. But for now, we are retesting a support zone. Overall bearish, impulse correction, and we are currently in this impulse movement. For the bullish takeover, a break above this falling wedge is needed. We'll be expecting a movement towards the upper bound of this falling channel that we just saw on weekly and daily time frame. Last but not least, Quant or QNT. Daily time frame, very strong support area, round number 100, as you clearly see it right there, which is also a massive structure. Support here, resistance here, support here again, and we are currently retesting it. So the 90-100 is a very strong zone to keep an eye on. As long as it holds, we'll be looking for longs, targeting what? The upper bound of this big range around 140, 150. H4 time frame, just like previously, don't buy blindly around support. They are still gonna be broken, maybe, right? You don't know if the support is going to be broken or being rejected. That's why always wait for extra confirmation, which is, as you all know already, zoom into lower time frames and wait for at least a major high to be broken upward, in this case for Quant around 108. Once we break above it, expect a movement towards the upper band of the range around 140. Meanwhile, we can still form new highs between the 90 and 100, and then we'll be buying after the last high is being broken. Let me know in the comments which altcoin you find most interesting and which altcoin you would like me to cover next. And I'll see you hopefully next week.